Hello, and welcome to my video explaining the way that we're going to tackle this project. Max Fleischer invented and patented rotoscoping in 1917. He initially used it for his Out of the Inkwell series and Coco the Clown. He had filmed his brother in the clown suit and then projected it onto clear cells, which he then hand-painted. He also used this technique for complicated dance moves, such as Cab Calloway seen here, dancing and animated. Disney, although they strongly denied using it, were also using rotoscoping for their films, as is clearly evident here. This is a scene from Gulliver's Travels, which was another Max Fleischer's film, and notice the smoothness of the animation. Now let's take a look at some movies from the 70s, the 80s, and the 2000s that also employed this technique of rotoscoping. Lord of the Rings is probably the most famous of those movies, and was probably the thing that inspired me most to want to do this series this way. That was followed up by Heavy Metal, probably pretty notorious for, as everyone knows. Once again, this employed rotoscoping heavily, and Canada's Nelvana Studios produced Rock and Roll, which also heavily relied on rotoscoping, as can be seen here by the band members singing and dancing. Fire and Ice is another Ralph Bakshi film. He had done Lord of the Rings previously to this one. The technique is obviously much more refined by the time he got to this point. And from 2000 we have A Scanner Darkly. Once again, using rotoscoping and high contrasting colors. I love the animation in this, the smoothness of it, and this is also a look that we're going to be... Here we can see how the rotoscoping was originally done. The actors in The Lord of the Rings were filmed by Bakshi, and then each cell was then copied and hand-drawn to create this smooth look of Gandalf riding on the white steed. This movie used a lot of different techniques. It used traditional cell animation, rotoscoping, and solarization to create a painted look. In Heavy Metal, to do some of the sequences, what they did was create large models of landscapes or planes in this sequence and painted them in a negative, so they could then make it positive on their cell plates and then hand paint those. Right now what we're going to look at is some scenes from 3 different movies that I have applied a rotoscoping technique to. Now, each one of these is slightly different in how the technique is applied. In some you'll see that there's an outline around the characters, and in other shots I've removed the outline just to give it more of a painted look. Now today, of course, we don't need huge teams of animators hand drawing these scenes. We can get a painted look with one person and a computer doing it. There's a few reasons why I've chosen to do rotoscoping in the first place, and why do this as opposed to just filming the movie. The first and foremost is I like this style. I like this look. I want the film to look like it's a fairy tale that a fairy tale book that you've dropped into. Another reason is, of course, budget. Now, you might think an animated film might actually cost more, but as I said, this technique can be done entirely in post-production now on the computer. Historical accuracy is incredibly important to me, and to get the kind of look that these films would have, shooting in 4K, your costume budget would be prohibitively expensive, especially for a project like this. So, by doing it this way, we can get historically accurate looking costumes, although they don't have to have historically accurate materials. The painting technique will remove a lot of the obvious flaws between the historically accurate and just a reproduction of a costume.
Is that a yes?
That's a yes.
Now, each of these 3 clips, as I said, employ slightly different effects for each of the shots. Some have stronger, bold outlines, like what we saw at the beginning of the Druids clip. This one uses a very subtle light ray effect on the film, as well as the hand-painted look, the watercolor look. The last clip that we're going to show is from Lord of the Rings, and it uses the very subtly seen light ray effect here, much bolder and more strongly in that clip.
I will love you my whole life. You and no other.
And I you and no other, forever.
With a small but realistic budget, I really believe we'll be able to make this movie the way I envision it in my head. That it will be a storybook, a fairy tale come to life. It will be bright, it will be colorful, it will be engaging, and it will be beautiful. I hope that you've enjoyed these clips and you've enjoyed the effects that have been presented here on these videos. And I'm looking forward to hearing back from Arts Nova Scotia on this. Thank you so much for your time, and have a good day.
You're late.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
It's wonderful to see you, Gandalf.
You didn't think I'd miss your Uncle Bilbo's birth. So how is the old rascal? I hear it's going to be a party of special magnificence.
You know Bilbo. He's got the whole place in an uproar.
Well, that should please him.
Half the Shire's been invited. And the rest of them are turning up anyway.
So life in the Shire goes on, very much as it has this past age, full of its own comings and goings, with change coming slowly.
Now, the last clip that we have here is a short piece that I put together specifically for this application. It starts with a photograph of the Lealval stone on the hill of Tara, a cloud clip of cloud, and a 3D rendered dragon. These have been composited together to create this scene. As you can see, the landscape has been rendered as a painting, across the sky as a painting, and the dragon itself, which is an asset and not a particularly high quality asset, looks absolutely fantastic as a painted dragon in this sequence. Thank you very much.